Bum, bum, bum.
Hey, party people, welcome to an episode of SJU instead of a commentary because we're still doing clip shows. Ha ha!
But this one's live.
This one is live.
Yeah, we're here. This is not, we're not
we're here.
sipping eggnog somewhere while you're watching this.
That's right. That's right. So you should be very grateful if you're practicing gratitude in the new year. Be grateful we're here today in our rooms. But we have a fun topic today. We're looking back at the year in film, the last year, 2021. And we're going to do a classic jocks versus nerds, slobs versus snobs. We're going to look at the top 10 box office and the top 10 critic picks of 2021. And, we'll come to some surprising conclusions. What doesn't deserve to be there? What does? Who's got it all wrong? We're here with Danielle and Lon, per usual on a Tuesday. How y'all doing?
Pretty good.
Really good. Good. I watched a trailer we were gonna watch for the thing like 2 minutes.
Oh God, yeah.
We did this.
Sorry. We are also going to talk about Uncharted, which apparently is a thing that
and it's not Red Notice. I don't know where this came from. It's a totally different movie.
The call is coming from inside the house.
Definitely wasn't mostly filmed in a warehouse in Burbank. Definitely not.
All right, let's turn our attention to the top 10 films for the people, the working man, who forked over their hard-earned pandemic money to risk COVID to see one of the following franchise films, because I don't think a single one of them is not part of a franchise. Nope, Free Guy. Free Guy snuck in there.
Well,
but also
it's on the bubble. It's on the bubble.
I agree with on this.
Can we see that? Can we see that list? Do we have a graphic, or should I just call
I feel like it sneaks through on a technicality.
Yeah,
all right. At the top, Spider-Man: No Way Home, still collecting racks and racks and racks with 572 million. Then Shang-Chi, Venom 2, Black Widow, Fast 9, The Eternals, No Time to Die. I'm going real fast. Sorry, I can slow down. No Time to Die. Oh, Black Widow.
There's Black Widow.
Quiet Place Part 2 at 8. Ghostbusters Afterlife at 9. And Free Guy with I'd say, is that somewhat paltry 121 million to be in a top 10?
For like a new franchise?
This year.
I know not this year, but I think
for an ordinary year, that would be a little soft, I think. I think it would be more like the upper, like closer to 200 million, but I'd say that's no slouch. Like they did real good. They did real good, Free Guy.
As we have all talked about, and like I've done this forever. I have a mom test about whether my mom loves and appreciates a film. I watched Free Guy with my mom over the holiday break. She freaking loved it.
Moms love Ryan Reynolds. It's a weird.
We were definitely doing the thing where it's like, there's a video game that's called Nope, Don't Worry About It. There's a video game that's with a Fortnite. Don't worry about it. No, but she, without knowing any of that knowledge, my mom loved this movie. It passed the mom test.
That's impressive. Yeah, that's what it takes to get into the top 10 these days without being part of an established IP. Is you got to pass the mom test. I was going to say, this is so heavy on sequels and franchise films, but I looked through like the last 5 years. It's like that every year. There's usually one or two that sneak on there, but
I mean, like, look, at this point, audiences have very, very clearly spoken. Like, we may not want to listen depending on your tastes or whatever, but what they have said is that the movies people want to see in a theater setting are the big tentpole franchise. Here's the new edition of the ongoing story that we're all following. Like, that's what people want to see with other people in a communal setting, and they're fine watching other stuff at home.
Okay. I mean, yes, Lon, you are 100% absolutely correct. But there's the C word where it's like, what? And here's the thing.
No, hold on. What C word are we talking about?
COVID being the C word.
That's
content.
The C word. God damn it.
You can't just blast past the C word.
communism.
Oh, if it was see you next Tuesday, I would have just said it.
Yeah.
But no. Lawn
In Australia,
is,
it's a term of affection, I'm told.
and also in the British Isles.
Yeah. So COVID.
But no,
You're talking about the
COVID,
Rona.
the pandemic.
Okay,
The pandemic.
because I know that they demonetize people who say the entire word.
Got
but, you said it, so blah blah blah.
Wait, is that true? Are we gonna get demonetized?
Probably.
Oh, sorry.
Lawn is 100% correct in normal years, but especially correct when it comes to like COVID years. Like,
Yeah.
most families, even before this, and we've talked about this forever, are like, I will not spend the money for all of my, I don't know, like how families, I don't know, like 2 adults, like 8 children. I don't know how families work, but they like
2 adults, 8 children. Your typical family.
your typical white picket fence family. 2 adults, 2.5 children. One
Yeah.
of them is maybe a dog or a hamster. They have said and have clearly shown that like we're not gonna shell out this money without it being like a full thing. And especially now during the COVID. Yeah, like it's people are not gonna risk going to a movie theater unless they're like, I
Well, I mean, that's
want my entire body to be filled from tip to head. Oh
Sure.
gosh.
with
I-
sensations.
Yeah.
Ryan's bringing up a good point in the chat is that none of the HBO Max dual release movies made it onto this list, even though if you look at the worldwide box office, where I believe they weren't available day and date on HBO Max, they show up really strong. Dune is in the top 10 worldwide. Godzilla versus Kong is in the top 10 worldwide.
It's tough to say because it doesn't. If that were true, you would sort of think it would track that the most watched on HBO Max wouldn't also be the most seen theatrically, but they are. So like Mortal Kombat was a big hit in theaters, or a relatively big. It didn't quite make the top 10, but it made like almost 100 million in theaters. And it was the most watched, or one of the most watched movies on HBO Max. Same with Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
Whereas like the ones that performed weaker in theaters also performed weaker on HBO Max, like In the Heights and Matrix Resurrections. And I can feel you trying to like, but that's just the numbers. Like
No. But I do think that because of the numbers, I think that these were the movies that were coming back before everything was coming back. And so
Matrix Resurrections, that just came out.
No, you're right.
And then
But, like,
Spider-Man, that's in.
Yeah, and it was like right on the heels of.
I'm literally just talking about the WWE. Gosh darn it. I'm just talking about the WB releases. When it comes to Godzilla versus Kong, all of these things, Mortal Kombat, there were not a lot of other movies coming out during that time. And so
there's a bit of a pandemic
Spring
drought.
area that
A lot of things
yeah.
are delayed.
Well, I mean,
People
all
wanted
year
to
there weren't that many. Like one of the
go
things
to
that
theaters.
one of the things that this did for WB was keep them, like everybody else has been knocking their movies around the schedule and it's inconsistent. WB held to their entire schedule all year because they were doing this. So regardless of what was going on in the world, they were like, this is In the Heights week. Enjoy In the Heights at home, like, or Judas and the Black Messiah or whatever all year. And so I think that like there were times like that, you're right, where there was like a pocket where the WB movies were the only big things in theaters because they were the only ones. Like Sony was knocking their stuff back or Disney was moving it around. So that's true. And I do think obviously that it made some impact. Like it'd be silly to say this major strategy and this huge risk made no impact. But I don't know. I'm not convinced that it really was true that people didn't go to a theater because they were going to stay home and watch it on HBO Max. I think
I did as a people.
Yes, but I mean, I don't know if that was the deciding factor in those movies being softer at the box office. It really didn't seem like it held up that way if you look at the numbers.
All right, well, let's back away from these unanswerable, complex questions.
One day there'll be a subscription-based list. There'll be like subs added to Disney Plus.
Yeah, you're right.
No, they'll never give us.
They don't really
will
want
never
us to know.
give us their numbers.
And it's worth noting, even the numbers that I'm going by are not. It's not like official definitive. It's like Samba TV, which is guessing based on connected devices, and Nielsen, which is guessing based on other, like everybody's guessing. These companies are putting out very inconsistent. So beyond the box office, those numbers we actually know.
Well,
everything else we're just like, maybe we'll, who knows?
It's a topic for another week, but we'll have to, I think that in the next round of guild negotiations, they'll have to work out some kind of accurate reporting just so people can get paid based on how well these movies do or don't do, if this really is the future.
Or they'll need to come up with some other way to.
Do we have like 1 minute to ask if anyone here has been a Nielsen family?
No,
I never have.
I think Eric Goldman was.
I've been a Nielsen family.
What'd you leave the TV on?
Oh gosh, I was like 18. Probably like I don't know, a bunch of like
Buffy.
Martin? I don't know, Buffy.
I'm trying to do the mental. Now that I know we're similar ages, I'm trying to do the mental calculation.
Well, okay, I want you guys to answer me this. Given the year in film and the what actually cracked the top 10 and what didn't, I want each of you to kick one thing off because it doesn't belong there and audiences got it wrong, and to pull something up from the top 100 movies and what you wish did better and what you think should get actually booted out there.
I mean, are we talking like Big Tent? Like, I wish this Big Tent poll had done better than this.
I mean, use your judgment. You could say like, "Oh, Benedetta should have been."
Yeah, like because I don't know if people are ready for to tame
nunsploitation. Yeah. But yeah, what wide release movie do you think should have been in there? You wish made it, and which one in there is like, I can't believe people actually went out to see that and boosted that this year.
Oh, geez.
I mean, my favorite movie of the year, not my number one favorite, but my favorite movie of the year that a lot of other people did not care for and that was on that HBO Max WB list and didn't even make, I don't think, the top 10 was Malignant. I loved Malignant, that James Wan, weird horror thriller, crazy action, whatever it was. And yeah, I wish that had done better just because it's perfectly set up for a sequel that we're probably never going to get. So if that had taken the place of one of these heavy hitters, I'd have been totally fine doing that swap.
I mean, I obviously would have done Dune. I wish Dune was in the top 10. I know it was worldwide, but come on, Duniacs, where you at? You got to show your support. It's hard for me to kick anything off because the only one that I haven't seen is Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I just am kind of constitutionally against the idea of that movie. So I
didn't see that one.
There's a character named Podcast. No. I think it doesn't need to be in the top 10 in this year when there were other things like Dune.
I would have said Quiet Place 2, which I thought, as a fan of the original Quiet Place, I thought was a little bit of a letdown. It felt very like an epilogue to the first movie rather than a full second adventure. Real waste of the great Djimon Hounsou. So yeah, I thought that it was fine, but it was a little flat. I don't think it's like a top 10 of the year kind of movie. Like, get rid of that one, put Malignant or Matrix Resurrections up there. Or Dune. I like Matrix Resurrections a lot.
Interesting. I think
that's
we will be talking about that soon, I'm sure. I have very mixed feelings about it. Anyways, Danielle, do you have anything?
I got one more actually.
Oh yeah?
Go ahead, please, Danielle.
No.
I was just gonna say Encanto, which I watched just the other week, is another one that is splitting. Yeah. That's another interesting case where Disney put it out, and it's like very soon on the heels of the theatrical release. It's now on Disney Plus. I did not watch it until Disney Plus, and it's really fantastic.
Yeah, I wish I saw that in a theater. It's beautiful even on a small screen.
Great.
There are like 2 songs from there that are stuck in my head forever.
Yeah. Once I realized that we don't talk about taco works as a rhyme with Bruno, it was all over. It was all over for our household.
Oh, okay. I kind of need you to do that on your Instagram, dude. You need a taco Instagram. Oh gosh, because this is like a really hard year, but I just gosh. I hate pranks. I hate prank movies. I really liked Bad Trip.
Bad Trip was amazing.
Bad Trip was great. And
one of the funniest movies of the year.
That was gonna come out in theaters, but it got
Yes.
pandemic booted like a million times, and then
Yeah,
ended up on
they
Netflix.
like sold it off to Netflix because they were
Yeah.
just like, we can't open this in the theater right now.
Totally. I mean, yeah, the best theatrical experience to me, even more so to me than awe-inspiring epic special effects blockbusters, is comedies and horror movies. Those I think have the most added to them when you see them in a big crowd.
And like that specific kind, like a Jackass style
Yeah.
comedy where it's
Mhm.
like outrageous and shocking, and you're reacting to it in the moment. It's so
but
much fun.
also
With a
like
big crowd.
it's less the thing I liked about Bad Trip was that there is some of the stuff where it's like because I don't like pranks because I think that pranks are cruel, and I don't like this idea of like it's funny for you to suffer, and so I'm going to do that to make you suffer. But Bad Trip is mostly like people being like, "Oh my God, is everyone okay?" I love
Eric
that.
Andre's bit is he makes himself the target.
Yes.
The prank is on him, and he's filming you watching this horrible stuff happen to him instead of the usual prank, which is I'm going to do something embarrassing to you, and you
Exactly.
will be embarrassed.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely the theatrical comedy is a dying art in general, and I guess it's really up to that movie and Jackass to carry the flame of the prank film
Oh,
for
jeez.
the next 2 years. That's all we
jeez.
got.
So yeah,
Um,
we're really counting on those guys.
Yeah.
not
But
to
let's-
not
let-
to put too much pressure on Chris Pontius as a person, but here we are. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
Comedy films rests on your ample shoulders.
Yeah, like
Chris
you and
Pontius.
Party Boy, we need you.
Can't wait. So I think that would probably make Bad Trip would probably make my top 10 of the year. But they over at Metacritic, they've compiled the films mentioned on the most critics top 10 list of the year. They have some system for like if it's a ranked list, they get like points, and if it's an unranked list, they all get. There's some metric by which they take every critic's top 10 list and come up with a kind of a synthesized one, which I think is a better metric than Rotten Tomatoes scores or IMDb rankings or something like that. Because film critics make their top 10 lists and they put a lot of time and thought into that. I know we do over here. So
Yeah.
they are the following. And is this in order, Ryan? Is this like ranked, or is this just
Yes, that is the
Okay.
the descending order from the top.
Number
to the
one,
best.
Power of the Dog. Number two, Drive My Car. Number three, Licorice Pizza. Number four, Dune. Hell yeah. Number five, West Side Story. Number six, Summer of Soul. 7, The Green Knight. 8, Worst Person in the World. 9, Pig. And 10, Petit Maman. Petit Maman.
Petit Maman.
Which
That's
is
the
the
one from the Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Oh, okay.
That's her.
I love that movie, but that was the only one that I had literally never heard of until
Celine
this list. So I guess
Sciamma.
I gotta run, don't walk to
Well,
Petit
in fairness
Maman.
to us, Petit Maman and Worst Person in the World, I don't think they're out in America yet. I think
It's
like
in
Drive My Car is
theaters.
in one theater in
Yeah.
LA. I don't think Worst Person in the World, that's not out till February. So
Okay.
there's only critics have seen it. Like us regular folks haven't even had it.
Oh no, we're elite. Did you
Us elite
know
film
that?
critics who cause global warming have not yet had a shot at it.
Can
Who
you explain what that
clearly-
reference is?
In the aftermath of Don't Look Up and the negative critical reaction to it, Adam McKay and David Sirota, who they collaborated on the story and then McKay wrote it, sent some tweets where basically like blaming like if you don't like this movie, that means you see yourself in it and it's like you're defensive because you're in the movie. And it led to a lot of tweets that were like calling out critics. And there was one in particular, I don't think it was Dave Sirota who said it. It was like, oh, sure, elite film critics who see themselves as the cause of global warming wouldn't like this movie. And like, elite film critics causing global warming? What are you talking about? Like, Richard Roper didn't do this. Like, I don't know.
No.
Driving all of
man.
our used
Like,
cars
who's
to junkets.
elite? Like most people I know are like making less, like for every critique, they're making less than like
I
200
don't know.
bucks.
I guess people
They're
think of,
literally
like,
trying to figure out how to make this packet of ramen stretch and like
Right.
put like what rotisserie chicken do I put in this and like some broccoli to make this be 2 meals. Like know
I
what?
think
don't know.
they're hoping that everybody's just going to lump the entire media together, like the way that people lump all entertainment together, so they assume like YouTubers are making the same as like TV stars. I think it's that same thing. It's like there's a Maureen Dowd out there in the world. Like there are very esteemed journalists who make money, and so they just were like, well, that's everybody. And it's like, no, most film critics are not
Poor.
That was such a
elite
letdown.
and-
Yeah, as an
And-
elite film critic myself, I think that that was my biggest letdown of the year.
was
And
fine.
I'm just going to leave a gas generator running in protest just right
I
outside
don't-
my room to just.
No,
I've
it was
honestly
like
been-
it was fine. Like I got it. Like it.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, when they cut
think
from
we
the
all-
That I
animals
think that's
to
the most
garbage, yes,
frustrating thing.
I was aware. what
Is
were
that
going
they were
for.
like, oh well, if you don't like it, you don't get it. No, we get it.
Or you get it too hard, like the truth is too harsh for you to like. That was kind of the
Yeah.
sentiment.
In
It wasn't
my
like not that
bumble.
you don't get it, but like you do get it and it scares you, and that's
It was
why
the
you're
experience
not-
of reading the news, but via celebrities. Like I get it.
And, like-
I've read the news.
and like reading the news 15 years ago.
Yeah,
Like
too.
we're pretending this is the
And I
first we
didn't
heard.
hate it. It was fine. And I think most people said it's a fine movie. And everyone's like,
I
oh, you
dislike
hate
it.
this, and
I
you
did not care for
you
it.
I
love
dislike
global
it.
warming. It's
I
like,
love global warming, and I
It's
did not like
fine.
this movie.
I didn't like the movie at first, but I've come to dislike it a lot more after being yelled
fine.
at for 2 weeks that I didn't like it because I'm dumping toxins into the atmosphere. It's like, no, I'm not doing it.
Brutal.
Look, Taco is figuring out how to shoot a rocket to the moon.
Yeah, no, it's all, yeah.
So that is obviously not making any of our top 10 lists. It might sneak in a number 10 for Danielle. I don't know. That's kind of a mixed review. We'll see. But of these, I think it's notable that there is not a single one that shares the box office top 10. Not any of them. Although I did see Spider-Man make it on some critics' top 10 lists. That got some mention. Most of these are box office failures, or just like such small releases that there's, what's the expectation even
Yeah,
for something like Drive My Car? Like,
And I would note that I think all of this is part of the larger story that we sort of started out talking about, which is it's not that audiences are rejecting these movies. They're just not the kinds of movies that people want to go see in a theater, especially during a pandemic. And so I think, stuff like Power of the Dog, it would probably have done okay in theaters in like the 90s, like in a different era when people would go see westerns or they'd go see dramas. Like Brokeback Mountain did all right in theaters, and I think that I think it's more about how the audience and where people want to watch movies has evolved than like audiences don't like these.
these are still,
movies.
though, films that are all made to be consumed or experienced theatrically. Like Power of the Dog is the rare Netflix movie that doesn't look like Red Notice. It doesn't
Right.
look
Well, yeah,
like
Jane Campion made it, and it
Oh,
was at festivals, and it was just a movie.
And
Yeah,
obviously,
she
same with Licorice Pizza and West Side Story. I haven't seen that yet. And the Green Knight, A24 is one that's holding on hard to that first theatrical window. Like they
Well,
have
and-
resisted going straight to streaming.
I have to say, like Pig, everyone was like, "Oh, it's Nicolas Cage who loves a pig." Brr, 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 brr. Pig is actually like a really good movie.
Yeah.
about loss and figuring out. I don't know. Go
Pig is
see
my favorite
Pig.
movie of the year.
I love
That's
Pig.
my number one. And I also really love
Pig.
Summer of Soul, which is on Hulu right
Oh, it's
now
so good.
and is fantastic. Like the critics are right about that. Get Back kind of sucked up all of the attention for like vintage music docs
Mhm.
this year, but that one was amazing. And Questlove does this really cool thing in terms of the editing and the directing, where it's like the music starts and you watch the beginning of the performance, and then you kind of like, while the music's on in the background, you get like 2 minutes of quick like download, like here's the context on who this group is and what kind of music they were making, what was going on historically. And then like right in the like a DJ, because he's a DJ, like right at the perfect time, you come back to the song to watch the rest of the song play out. And it's just so
Perfect.
I gotta
seamlessly
check
put
that out.
together. I really like it.
Oh, Spenny, you would really like it because you, I don't know, because we always make these references, so I don't know if the at-home audience knows this. Me and Spenny have the exact same like references for hip hop.
Yeah.
We're literally always like, oh, you know this? Yeah, I know this. Spenny actually has like a very deep, weird hip hop knowledge, and most people do not know that about him.
Yeah, I think a white Jewish kid who came of age in the early '90s. It's not as rare as you might think.
No, we didn't. Honestly, we didn't really have much of a choice. It was sort of installed.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I had to learn about grunge. We all did it.
But
Yeah,
Summer of
we
Soul,
all did it together.
I feel like that speaks more to me as a bass player, right? Isn't it a '70s concert?
60s, 1969.
yeah.
I think it was the 69 Harlem Cultural Festival. So yeah, you get Sly and the Family Stone.
That's
you get
great.
Mahalia
Yeah.
Jackson, Four Tops, Stevie Wonder.
All that stuff.
I'm gonna be so deep in the
yeah,
pocket.
no, absolutely.
Oh yeah, the lineup is Gladys Knight and the Pips. I think it is.
Yeah.
Like, the lineup is bonkers.
Slap
Okay,
that
I don't need
bass,
to. Yeah,
Benny.
I'll be slapping it right along with them. But there were other
That's really good.
prestige films and ones that I was surprised did not make the critics' top 10 of the year. But you guys start. Anything that you saw that you think deserved more critical acclaim than it may have received?
Oh geez, you start because I'm
my favorite A24 of the year. I liked Green Knight a lot, but it did not make the top 10, and that was Zola. Which I thought
Zola.
was
Oh my god, that was the one I was gonna say. Oh my god, Zola was so good.
Loved Zola. It was like Zola's one of those movies. I felt this kind of about Hustlers a few years ago too, where they're like they are this new generation of like cool, different, like almost like what Tarantino and Scorsese were doing in their eras, like kind of reinventing the rhythm of the crime film.
I like this a lot better than Hustlers, but yeah, go ahead.
I loved Zola much
I like both of them.
than
I like
Hustlers.
Zola better than Hustlers too, but I just think like it's in that in that kind of genre. Like Widows, I thought was kind of another interesting one like this. Where
I
it's
really like Widows. Yeah.
this kind of like new sort of take on the kind of like urban crime sort of movie, and it's really cool. And again, it's like edited and it's like put together in this really interesting way. And the performance, like Riley Keough is great, and Coleman Domingo is so friggin' scary, and it's just a really well put together, fun movie.
And also for people who don't have the reference, there was a woman on Twitter who got really famous or who got really notable because she did this Twitter thread. Her name was Zola and it started with, "Do you want to know how me and this fell out?"
Yep.
And it's amazing.
It's
and
the best adaptation of a Twitter thread since shit my dad says.
And like in the very beginning of the movie, like you realize like, oh, they're gonna like bake in the fact that this was a Twitter thread to the movie, and for a second I was like, it's kind of cheesy. I don't want to see that. And it's done in such a clever way to really make this feel like a story you're being told via all kinds of social media. It's really good.
I thought it was
COVID or not, I saw Zola in the theater.
Nice. It was incredibly acted and directed and lensed, so to speak. I think that they made changes from the Twitter thread. That's like, why would you change anything about that?
There are a few story elements.
Yeah, like you don't need to. Anyways,
I wonder if that's like one of those like allegedly things.
Got it.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Because remember, oh god, I could talk about the Zola Twitter thread.
We could do a Zola.
I could do a deep dive of the Zola Twitter thread right now, and I
really like that one. There are two others I'd like to mention. One, Spenny, you and I had talked about Riders of Justice.
That's so far my tops.
A Danish revenge film that is also, I believe, streaming on Hulu currently. It's like a reconsideration of the revenge film, where you're getting the revenge film stuff you want. Like, it's not disappointing as a fan of that genre, but it's also like a total upending.
It's a dark comedy about like the meaning of life, and just happens to be
like laid on top of this like very traditional like revenge storyline that would play
it's
out
like
in
John
another
Wick.
movie.
Like they mess with the wrong guy, they kill the wrong guy's wife, and he's getting revenge, but it's only making things worse and worse, and solving nothing, and only increasing his problems.
And he's got this like bumbling kind of crew with him.
And and in parallel with that, like he's gaining more and like recovering and rebuilding his life through like his co-conspirators who are helping him kill
so good.
this biker gang. It's so
I had no idea going in. Like, I just knew it was like, oh, the Mads Mikkelsen, like, he's a tough guy.
Hulu, I think.
Yeah, he's a tough guy, and they wronged him, and I knew nothing else going in, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I do have to mention, nobody was so good.
Nobody was great too. I like
this one.
Nobody
Like this kind
too.
of, I don't want to say ruins this genre for me, but it definitely deconstructs this genre. I will never look at the "you messed with the wrong guy" genre the same way after this.
It's a bit of a walk hard take on the genre where you notice all the tropes and stuff. I also did really enjoy Nobody, mainly that Odenkirk just is perfect in that. I mean, like it's the perfect match of guy and movie. Like that's the movie I want to see that guy in. You nailed it.
All right, what's your other one?
Oh, the one other one I was going to say is The Harder They Fall, which is that really awesome Western action Western that came out with that huge cast on Netflix again, like Jonathan Majors and Idris Elba. Jay-Z produced it, and I mean, just
say it's the black cowboy movie.
I'm not going to say it's the black.
I'm going to say it's the black.
It did that in a really cool way, where it's like. Based, a lot of the stories and characters are rooted in real Western outlaws, and like it was cast perfectly, and it's like a take on the spaghetti Western, but also kind of a Tarantino sort of 90s like cartoonish sort of revision of the spaghetti Western.
Give me Regina King.
Yes, the dark, gritty Cowboy Curtis reboot. We all.
But it's like it's fun. Like it's not. Like that's why I hesitate to make it so like, oh, it's historical. Like they weave all these, like it's just like a silly, zany, like it feels like a 90s like take on the spaghetti Western, almost like a Quick and the Dead sort of vibe at some
Or Posse.
Or Posse.
All right, I'm gonna throw one out there. Last, so we still have a little bit of time left to talk about how excited we are for Uncharted. I wish this showed up on either list, and I don't care which one, frankly, but I think that The Last Duel completely got, I don't want to say overlooked, but like I'm sad that it's not a hit, so that because it's a gigantic historical epic with movie stars and great acting and some definite silliness to see Matt Damon's mullet for that long on screen.
I like that Matt Damon plays like he's such a bad guy. Like it's not a glamorous movie star part at all. Like he's just kind of like a doofus and you don't like him. And I think it's cool that Damon was like, yeah, I'll play that guy.
I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I'm psyched to see Ridley Scott return to historical epics instead of just kind of reconfiguring, aliens for this 1000th time. So
he's got like three things. He's like historical epics, weird alien robot, like milky blood stuff. Yeah. And then like rich person crime.
Yeah,
like, those are the three
areas.
Those are the three
Ridleys.
Those are the three Ridleys.
And I just thought this was so fun. Like this was a movie that I wish that people went to see in the theater, just because it was so. What's that? Fun in the sense of like you have a ton of movie stars, you have a ton of capital A acting, and like the duel at the end is absolutely insane.
And there are like obviously there is subject matter in it that's very dark and serious and treated seriously, but it is not a 2.5 hour grim dark like experience.
Oh God, I wouldn't have watched it if it was that.
I mean,
and I think that's
Ben
what
Affleck like completely hamming it up.
Basically playing his Mallrats character, but in like 14th century France.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, what if the fashionable male had been open in 14th century France?
Yeah.
This is the man who would have operated it.
But I'm just bummed that it didn't do well, either really critically or box office wise, because Ridley Scott, it's been delayed, but I hope he's like gonna get to finish this. Is he's making a historical epic about Napoleon and Josephine and like his drug addiction or something like that, starring is it Joaquin Phoenix who's playing Napoleon?
That sounds right.
Who is your favorite short man to play Napoleon?
Joaquin Phoenix and Jodie Comer. They're doing their Napoleon and Josephine. So I want that movie to happen. So much like I was rooting for Dune, so we get Dune 2. I want this one to do better, so we get that Napoleon movie.
As long as we get everyone else on a box.
Get everyone else on the box, exactly.
Apple box.
Yeah. Well, get Cruise. Cruise can finally play his natural height in a film.
One time. Allegedly.
Joaquin Phoenix, I'm looking it up, 5'8". That's like, I guess that's Hollywood average. But like I'm saying,
like 1 inch.
That's short by Hollywood standards.
Yes.
But so Prince would be in heels and have everyone else lower than him.
Right.
And then oh gosh, who was the guy who did Pony? Genuine is tall, so he would have everyone in lesser heels so that he didn't look as tall as them.
Did you ever see that? this is how they did Far and Away. There are shots from the set where Nicole Kidman would have to walk in a trench a lot of the time, so that they would walk next to each other and they would be equivalent, or she'd be a little lower.
Wow.
As a tall woman, I noticed the way they do perspective for like tall woman, shorter man.
Yeah.
And it's always like you walk like 2 to 3 feet behind him so that your heads match.
All little Gandalf Hobbit tricks.
Perspective.
Break them all out. All right. Well, I think it's kind of almost tough to fully evaluate the critics list, because there's 2 films that we literally could not see even if we wanted to over here. But I do think that it's more or less good. Look, these are all good films. I'm sure Drive My Car is great. I haven't seen that.
I really would like to. It's at one theater in LA, and I just haven't managed to get over there. But I definitely want to see Drive My Car.
But they don't make no money, so go support them.
Most of these, it's just because of the Omarion. If it wasn't for the Omarion, I would see all
the Omarion.
Americans would not be piling in to Drive My Car regardless. Let's be honest. It's a 3-hour Japanese art house drama. Come on.
All right, but let's now waste 2 of our minutes on This Earth. As we were wasted by this trailer. Just talking about the Uncharted trailer and what we think of this latest peek into the lives of sexy artisanal bartenders turned artifact hunters. Go, Danielle, what do you think?
I'm glad that they found a way to make Cocktail even more sexy. Tom is just still doing Marty McFly, and I'm very happy for him that it's working, but it is just Marty McFly. I'm glad that there's a boat held up by a helicopter. That's great. It's basically the same trailer with a map and a boat held by a helicopter.
Yeah.
It's essentially instead of national treasure, it's international treasure, and good for them.
Good for them. Lon, this is your next installment in the red notification of culture.
And this is the thing I was saying before we started taping. I honestly can't tell if it's just like I'm getting old and cranky, or this is really happening. But I've started to see more and more trailers, and I'm just like, this feels a lot like Red Notice. I mean, like, it's all like all these movies are kind of congealing into like there's always like we got this map, but we got to do this heist, and like we're looking for treasure in the jungle again. It's like I feel like The Rock watched this trailer and was like, what the hell, man? I didn't get a call for this one. Looking for treasure.
Red Notice. I'm sorry, I don't mean to movie fight you. It's not Red Notice. It's just everything is becoming the Mummy. Everything is becoming.
I wish everything would become the Mummy.
It's like a National Treasure, Indiana Jones, the Mummy. It's like we're always like we're solving clues and we're on a globe-trotting adventure. You know, like we're in these lavish sets, or sometimes a warehouse in Glendale, and it's just, I don't know. It's even like the banter in this. There's just like a sameness to it that's like. And I know that Uncharted, the game, is like based on a lot of movies and takes a lot of inspiration from those kinds of adventure stuff anyway. So I don't know why I was expecting something that felt more different and original.
I mean,
like,
it is.
The games are sort of Indiana Jones riffs anyway, but
this is a genre. This is the adventure movie genre, and it lives or dies, I think, by the charisma of the usually grizzled man in a vest at the center of it. And Harrison Ford gave that incredible performance. Brendan Fraser gave like a different twist on it, which was like goofy and
charming and handsome, and
and this one just looks like he's like wearing his dad's clothes. I don't know, it's just not.
I mean, that's the other issue, is that it's a lot younger version of Nathan Drake than we've ever seen in the game, which does keep it from feeling like, I feel like that sequence at the end where he's like running up the stuff as it's falling out of the plane, that feels very much like the game.
Yeah.
But he doesn't feel like Nathan Drake because he's like half of Nathan Drake's age from the game. So it is odd in that way. Like if it was Mark Wahlberg playing Nathan Drake in that sequence, it might almost click more for me. Like, oh, well, this feels like the game.
Right.
Because I played like 2 of those Uncharted games.
Yeah.
I wrote down the time code, but like at 1:22 in that trailer, he's just Spider-Manning.
Yep. He's totally
Spider-Man. And I think that's a big issue for me here, is just like it doesn't really feel Uncharted-y, because the only thing that makes that not feel like Indiana Jones itself is the characters and the specifics, and I don't know if they're nailing that. I mean, I guess I get it. Like if they want to do 5 of these, he'll grow into it. And by the 4th one, he will
He
feel like
won't.
Nathan
He's
Drake.
an adult. He's going to look like this forever.
Well, then
He's
that,
This
definitely
is what he
funny.
looks like.
They just
He is
chose
an
poorly.
adult. No, he's Daniel
what, like
Radcliffe.
20?
It's the
No,
curse of the
he's-
Spider-Man.
He's Daniel Radcliffe. He's oh gosh, he's Elijah Wood. He's going to look like
Tobey
this.
Maguire.
Tobey Maguire until he's like 55.
Yeah.
This is what he looks like.
I mean,
and
yeah,
that's
he's
okay.
25 now. So like we'll see. By
Nah.
35, he might have a Nathan Drake look.
Nope. This is what he looks like.
All right.
That is how age looks.
The only thing I'll add to this, to our analysis, our hard-hitting analysis, is inflation is a problem. When at the beginning of this trailer, they're like, "This is worth $5 billion, easy." It's like, wow. I feel like movie like prizes or MacGuffins just added a couple decimal points, because that's an insane amount of money to just casually throw out. Like, yeah, this is worth $5 billion. I feel like that would have been 500 million, 10 years ago.
Well,
Um,
apparently nothing is worth it if you're not able to launch your own spaceship.
If you can't launch a rocket,
Yeah,
then
that's true.
you can dock it.
Can
all right.
you solve world hunger? No,
Nope.
not worth it.
Not getting out of bed.
Not worth
Certainly
it.
not helicoptering a boat anywhere. All right, that's our final look back. Probably not. We'll probably do something like this again for the Oscars when we look back at those films. But look, once again, the jocks won. The box office wins. We get more comic book movies, but they still find the time to make other things too. And we'll be watching all of it and talking about it right here on SJU. More Honest Trailers next week. We will be back on our usual programming and another SJU for you next week, I think, unless we're talking about Boba Fett. What's going on, Brian?
Boba Fett tomorrow.
Boba Fett
episode
tomorrow.
2. And then, yeah, we're back Monday.
All right, sweet. We'll see y'all later. Thanks for watching.